Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you're having a good day. As always, my name is Michael and thanks for joining me. So today I really don't want to waste a whole lot of time on the intro because I'm so excited to share with you my very first interview on the channel, and that is with a woman named Whitney Ragan, who is actually one of my subscribers and commented on a video. And she's just got an amazing story of how she paid off $37,000 worth of debt in under 2 years. So that's what this whole episode is going to be about. So I hope you can stay and watch the whole thing because it goes far beyond just paying off debt. You know, we get into a lot of different topics that I think are important, that are things that should be discussed. And again, I'm just very, very excited about the way it turned out. I would also like to say, guys, I want to keep doing this in the future. I had so much fun doing this. So if anyone else has a story that they want to share or advice that they want to give to others, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. You can email me, commonsensemike@gmail.com. You can tweet at commonsensemike. I would love to share any story you guys want because, again, I want this to be an interactive community. So that's what I wanted to mention here real quick, but let's go ahead and get started with the interview. First off, thank you so much for deciding to do this. Like I said earlier, I've never had a guest or an interviewee before, so I'm really, really excited to have you on.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about my debt payoff journey.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of like me. I think you're kind of like me in the sense that money's not a taboo subject for you, but you know, I started kind of my whole channel because not that money and personal finance was the most interesting thing to talk about, but it literally affects everyone. Like, no one escapes money. And I think we can all learn from each other and motivate each other. And, you know, we came into contact because you had commented in one of my videos that you had paid off a certain amount of debt in a short period of time. And I was just blown away by it. And I really want to share your story so hopefully others can learn from you and get motivated. And if they're in a similar situation, they can get their stuff knocked out. So sorry for rambling, but do you mind me asking you, like, what was the debt that you had? Like, what was it that you were trying to pay off?
Yeah, so I had $37,000 total in debt. $21,000 of that was my student loan, and about $16,000 of it was an auto loan. So I had this dream after I kind of graduated college and realized, wow, I have a lot of money in debt, and that's actually pretty low compared to some of my friends, but it was just way more than I wanted. And so I set this goal that I would be debt-free at 25 years old. And that was, even if it was like 25 years old, 11 months and 29 days, like before I turned 26, I wanted to have it paid off.
That's awesome.
So that gave me like 18 months to pay off my debt from the day I was like, okay, I have to really do something about this. And I ended up actually doing it in 16 months. So I'm pretty
16 months to pay off $37,000 of debt?
Yeah.
Wow.
My family thought I had lost my mind.
Well, like in a good way, because that's insanity. You know, like I said, I've worked at a credit union for over 8 years. I see debt all the time. It's really not anything new to me, but to see someone take care of that much in such a short period of time and being at a younger age, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to be retiring soon. I've got to get this stuff taken care of. But to be your age and knock it out, like that's truly different. So first off, hats off. That's really awesome. And it's not like you were in debt from ridiculous credit card spending or personal loans or, you know, extravagant purchases or anything like that. You know, you had stuff that was a car loan, it was student loans, and therefore you were motivated. But can you kind of talk about, you know, what was your mindset? What was your approach to getting that stuff paid off?
Yeah, so I kind of, for the first time, it's funny because when I was a kid, my mom always taught me to be responsible with my money, and she used to make me actually use a ledger and actually balance a checkbook and stuff. And so my parents have always influenced me to be wise with my money. But after that period of like graduating high school, but before graduating college, I was kind of on my own and nobody was holding me accountable. So I started spending pretty frivolously. And so it wasn't like I was putting myself in credit card debt, but I was just being really unwise with my money. So I had made quite a bit of money while I was working in college, and I had nothing to show for it whenever I graduated. And then I had put myself in this debt with my student loans and everything. So I finally had this realization, like, I need to sit down and I need to do a budget. That was the first time I had to do that basically in my adult life. So just listed things out that I needed to cover, and then figured out how much do I actually have extra that I can throw at this debt because I want it gone. And so pretty much my mindset was just like, get this gone as quickly as possible and cut out all of this excess. I used to kind of like use the mall as my hangout place on the weekends, and things like that were just like a few dollars here, a few dollars there, and it adds up at the end of the month. That's like an extra $300 that I didn't even realize I was spending. I mean, I knew, but
there are small purchases in the moment, but they add up over the course of a month, let alone a year. Like if we were to go back and, my personal kind of weakness is like food, right? I don't have certain debts, so I'm like, oh, I don't have this stuff, therefore I can afford this. And it's true, but it may not be intelligent spending. So like me, when it comes to going out to eat, that stuff adds up a ridiculous amount at the end of a year, let alone 10 years or anything like that. So it's kind of like, oh, I could have maybe, who knows, put a big down payment on a house with the amount that I've gone and spent on such and such,
Exactly. Yeah, food is my weakness too. So I had to really discipline myself during the time that I was paying off my debt. I don't still have the old Excel sheet because I have written over it to update my spreadsheet, but I listed out what I what I was spending during the time I was paying off my debt, and basically for the whole month, which is just crazy, but my entertainment / dining out was $80 a month.
Wow.
And
so tight ship.
It was just like so hard because you had just graduated college. You and all of your friends have just gotten your first like big girl fancy jobs, and they're all like, "Oh, let's go to dinner. Let's go get drinks. Let's go do this." And I had to say no so many times.
But
because I was like, "Sorry, guys, I just can't afford it."
But you'll totally be I'm sure you are thankful for that right now because you're not in the situation that a lot of people are at 10 years later. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I am now 28, turning 29, and I have no debt to my name.
That's
amazing. I'm now working to building a future for myself and building a retirement plan that will sustain me for my life and not having to worry about making my student loan payment. So I'm very thankful that I was smart enough to be disciplined during that time.
That's truly, again, hats off to you because most people cannot say that. One thing that I want to ask you without getting into like too much personal information is like, what was your income situation at the time? Because a lot of people feel like, oh, unless I win the lottery, like there's no way I can pay this debt off, or I don't make, a 6-figure salary, therefore it's impossible. And that it's simply not the case. Obviously making more money makes things easier, but you don't have to be some ridiculous, Apple CEO to get this stuff paid off. So do you mind me asking you roughly kind of what your income situation was?
Yeah, so I don't mind. Like you said earlier, money isn't actually a taboo topic for me. I actually love talking to people about budget, and I'm more than happy to pull up my spreadsheet and show them what I make because I think it's important to be confident and say, like, this is what I make and this is how I spend it, and I'm not ashamed of doing that. So during that time, I was making about $36,000-ish, but after taxes, my take-home was about $25,000 a year. I was living in Missouri, so Missouri's like, that's a pretty normal salary for Missouri, and especially for a first job. So not that it doesn't sound like much, especially since then I've moved to the West Coast, and that would be poverty, basically. But at the time, that was like a pretty average salary, but I did have this mountain of debt that I wanted to tackle. So
and it's like you said, it's not like you were living on the West Coast where you're some tech worker making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but you're also not living on minimum wage either. You're just like a lot of people getting that first job after college. It's a real job. You're making real money, but again, not so extravagant where all of this stuff was just easy, no big deal,
Totally.
Now, this may be kind of a pointless question because you had already kind of talked about your $80 budget. And I'm going to go back to your Excel spreadsheets in a little bit because my girlfriend does something similar to the point where she's semi-obsessed right now. But, can you talk about some like the lifestyle changes that you made in order to accomplish your goals?
Yeah, so there were a few things that kind of happened all around the time that I graduated. So from like a health perspective, I was pretty stressed out, overweight. I was pretty much constantly sick, and so I had made some like lifestyle choices there, and ended up, which is funny in the Midwest, but going vegan to try to like solve these problems. And during that time, like it was, it was over like about 6 years ago now, and so nobody in Missouri was vegan or had even heard of it.
It doesn't seem like the state that would be like, oh, those Missouri people, they're all vegans over there.
Yeah, yeah, and so I had reached out for like an online community to try to find, some kind of support or places to find recipes and things like that. And I had stumbled across this blog called Happy Herbivore, and she like planted this seed for minimalism in my head because she used to post these Minimalist Monday posts. And I had been following her for a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah, that seems kind of cool. Glad it works for her. But the more I kept looking at my debt and, all of these different things, I was like, I want to pay this debt off. This thing that she's doing seems to actually be like kind of changing her life, and she doesn't have so much stress because there's not so much stuff around her. And I started I kind of fell into minimalism accidentally because I just started selling everything around me.
That's
like,
step one though,
don't
right?
Need this iPod? Yeah, sell it. Don't need this? Sell it. And so before I knew it, I kind of turned into a minimalist because I had only surrounded myself with the things that I still wanted to keep. And it also, in turn, helped me reach those little goals of, like, paying off the next amount during this month for my debt. So it was really exciting because kind of, like, all of these different things shifted me into this really positive direction for setting up my life for the future. So I still consider myself a minimalist and kind of help other people do that. So there were, like, a slew of different lifestyle changes that had happened, but going back to like the entertainment thing where I only had $80 a month, I had to be super intentional on how I spent that $80 because that could have been basically like 3 dinners in Missouri, maybe 4 if you're lucky. Or, we could like stretch it out over the month and maybe be able to do smaller things or split an appetizer with somebody and then do something else at home or things like that. I started hosting people at my house because I had a pretty big house at the time with a pretty good-sized living room. And so I would host people at my house and say, bring your own drinks and, like, I'll have snacks and stuff. And
kind of like potluck style.
Yeah, exactly. And that worked out awesome because my friends were poor, but they didn't want to admit that they were poor. So it worked out great because it saved them money without putting the pressure on them to say, like, hey, I know you're poor, so come to my house and you don't have to spend so much money.
It's like that unspoken secret.
What's that?
It's just that unspoken secret. Like, look, I know we got some money issues right now. Just come on over. It's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run, but let's still have fun.
Exactly. So it was great for everyone, and we still got to like spend time together and watch movies that we wanted to watch. Maybe they weren't the ones that were in the theater, but they were ones that we had never seen. So it was really nice to be able to have that.
No, it's
kind of normal.
No, I totally get it. I don't talk about it on my channel or anything like that, but every like Thursday or something like that, I normally have a whole bunch of friends over. I'll go over to their place and we'll literally just kind of nerd it out and play some board games, drink a little bit, that whatever anyone has, and it's just a fun night to be with your friends, and you walk away not spending any money, and you still enjoyed it. So totally understand that. And kind of, it's funny, I didn't ask you about these questions earlier, but I'm not going to be a vegan anytime soon, but literally when it comes to money and expenditures, I've actually tried recently like going vegetarian, or I guess pescatarian is more accurate, and it really is crazy how much money you can save. I would literally say I actually physically feel better as well, so that's really cool that you mentioned that. And I would say all the way back to, I'm going to say maybe 2010. I don't know if you've come across their website or their podcast, but do you watch or listen to the Minimalists?
Yeah, so I'm actually a community leader of the Portland Minimalist Group because I live in Portland now.
Oh, cool.
And it's I'm a community leader of the chapter here. So yeah, love the group. I love the podcast and the guys, just like reading the blog and everything. So,
what are their names? Like Ryan and Josh? Is that it?
And Josh, yeah.
They're awesome. I actually listen to them a bunch. Like, I download a podcast, go on a walk, listen to their stuff, and it's just like, yep, that's right. I'm on the right path. Money's not everything. I think their slogan is like, love people and use things because the opposite will never work out. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, well, I actually do need to make some videos on minimalism, and it's a trendy thing right now, and it's not like I want to jump on the bandwagon, but it's something I've tried to incorporate in my life for, the past like 5-6 years. So yeah, this is kind of coincidental. You're telling me, hey, people probably need to hear about this even more than they already do.
Yeah, and I think it's just something that, especially when I was living in Missouri, it seems to be in the on the West Coast or in the bigger cities where spaces may be limited a little bit more. Like minimalism is more known and practiced. But when I was living in Missouri, that house that I was living in was 2,600 square feet, and it was dirt cheap. And so, I mean, like, it was just a thing that, why would you get rid of your stuff? You have a big house, you need to fill it. So it's something that I think there needs to be more awareness in places that maybe it's not.
Oh yeah, more is definitely not always better. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely.
My first house that I bought it wasn't huge. It was smaller than that one. I think it was like just over 2,000 square feet. And, the person I was dating at the time, we went separate ways, and I bought a condo for myself, and I scaled down to 650 square feet, and I loved that condo infinitely more than I ever loved that house. Smaller is not necessarily a bad thing, and you don't have to fill up 10 different rooms with furniture and TVs and random, junk that just you never use, but you still spent money on it, right? So no, that totally makes sense. Now I realized
we go on about minimalism for hours.
Maybe you need to make another appearance here, and we'll talk about that, because I was just thinking I've totally gone off track. I've totally abandoned the debt conversation. So I'll try and kind of like wrangle that back in. So I think you said it earlier. You did pay it off in 18 months.
Yeah, so it was actually 16 months. I remember specifically the day that I paid off the last debt. I had just accepted a job working as a full-time nanny for a family in San Francisco. I had moved to California right at the end of my debt payoff story. And I remember that day because they came home after the first full week of working for them with flowers and a bottle of champagne to welcome me to their family and to just say thank you and, kind of make me feel like part of their family. And so they handed me the bottle of champagne, the flowers, and then my first check because I hadn't gotten set up on direct deposit yet.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and it was enough that I could make my final payment that day.
Wow.
And it was just such an awesome feeling because I deposited, scheduled my payment to the student loan company, and popped that bottle of champagne, and I was like, that champagne has probably
celebrating
never tasted
time.
So good because it was just like the most amazing experience. And I think it was also on Valentine's Day. So
oh wow! So yeah, extra incentive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. I talk on my channel that I'm what I consider to be 99% debt free. I do have that condo still. Yes, there's a mortgage. It's rented out, and I don't have any debt payment for it. It's fully covered, and I make a little bit of money. So I live for the most part without debt. But now that you're debt free, how has that changed your day-to-day life? Like, do you look at money? Like, do you look at spending any differently now?
Yeah. I mean, I look at spending a lot differently. I've become quite frugal in a lot of ways, just because I really have learned the true value of a dollar. My mom always taught me that when I was a kid, but you never really kind of grasp the whole value of a dollar until you have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands to get your debt paid off.
Yeah.
And just seeing like your paycheck goes in and then you just give it right back away is just heartbreaking. So it's really helped me kind of put in perspective the value of a dollar and then be able to make better choices about how to spread my money out right now I'm not making a ton of money, but I am making a decent income, and it's just like wanting to be able to spread that out and do different things and travel. Travel is probably my favorite thing and something that I prioritize really high. But I also know that planning for my future and my retirement and things like that are also equally important. So being able to spread that income out to categories that I actually want to give them away to is really important to me. I don't know if where you are, you're in Austin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if there's one in Austin, but there probably is. But there's a group called Buy Nothing Project. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I know of something. I don't know if it's this group or something a little bit different, but it could be. I know that I saw something where it's like a meetup or a gathering where people, I don't know if you're supposed to bring stuff or whatever, but it's just like, don't buy anything. We'll trade around. We'll swap it. If I've got something that you need, you can have it, and maybe I get it back one day. And it's just the whole point of stop creating new things because it's just a tax on the world to constantly be building new things. Like, let's say I've got a lawnmower that, I bought years ago from the house, but now I've got the condo, so I don't mow a lawn anymore, but it's just sitting there, right? No one gets any use of it.
Yeah.
So is it that sort of thing?
So this one's similar to that. Like, I think that there are local, like, meetup type situations, but this one is, like, all ran through Facebook. But basically, it's like a group that you can join, and based on where you live, you join the group that's appropriate for you.
Okay.
But you can say, like, hey, I really need something, or hey, I don't really use this thing anymore. Do you want it? So I've actually been utilizing that to kind of, like, help with my not overspending in certain categories. For example, this is really silly, but I like to eat bagels for breakfast, but I don't have a toaster,
silly.
and I don't have a toaster oven. So I was heating my entire oven up just to heat one bagel, which is ridiculous. And I posted in the group, I said, hey, does anyone have a toaster or a toaster oven? Like, I would really like to stop wasting so much energy on heating up my oven. And somebody responded, and they were like, yeah, I have a toaster oven. You can totally have it. And so I was able to get that for free to me. And then there are things that I have that are of value that I just give away whenever I deem that they are no longer useful. So I think it's a really awesome way to kind of, like, stay on budget and still get the things that you want or need. I've seen people give away clothes on there. So if you're kind of, like, wanting new clothes but you can't afford the trip to the mall or wherever, being able to get those for free is really awesome, and then passing along the ones that no longer work for you. So that's another way that I kind of, like, now look at money and also, like, save money by just trading things with my neighbors instead of buying new.
That's awesome. I think it's really cool that you do stuff like that. And just to make sure, so if anyone's interested, they can go to Buy Nothing Project on Facebook, and will it just automatically list all of them, and they can just choose which city or state that they would go to, and that's that?
I think if you go to buynothingproject.org, that's easier, because then you can click on the state that you live in, and then it'll divide down into the different cities. And then if there's not one in your city and you're, like, really gung-ho about starting one, there is a way to actually just start one in the location that you are. So that's pretty cool as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, so where I live, the Buy Nothing Project has gotten so big that they've had to subdivide it into neighborhoods. So if you're in a larger city, I recommend going to the website to make sure you get the right neighborhood, so you aren't traveling halfway across the city just to get something.
Gotcha. Well, I'll make sure to include a link for that down below for anyone who's interested as well. One thing that you had mentioned earlier that, again, I forgot to bring up, when you were focused on paying things down, you said you were super motivated toward just getting it paid off in a certain amount of time. You also did something pretty drastic when it comes to the car that you were driving, right?
Oh, yeah, I did. So my car, my beloved brand new car that I bought 2 months before graduating,
okay.
I had an auto loan about $16,000 on it. And as much as I didn't want to, I had to admit that, a $16,000 debt was not going to help me pay off my student loans any faster, because even while making the minimum payment on that car, it was still taking away from me being able to pay off my student loans. So I had paid it down just enough that I had about $2,000 in equity in the car.
Okay.
And I drove it back to the dealership, and I said, I really want to trade this car back in, and I want a clunker. And they looked at me like I had a third eye. They were like, what? You don't want an even fancier car? Don't you want a nicer one? And
Yeah, they try to play that game,
no,
huh?
I just... They're very motivated to upsell, not to downgrade. So they really thought I had lost it. And I was like, no, I don't want a newer car, and I don't want a more expensive car. I want, a clunker. I want something that is paid for. So with the $2,000 in equity that I had, they bought my brand new old car back, and then I took home a 2001 Ford Focus with the big feature that it had was automatic windows.
Hey.
I think it still had a cassette player in it, and
really old school.
Yeah. So it was fine. It ran and it did everything I needed it to do. But all of my friends thought, "Oh my gosh, something must have happened to her because she was doing so good and she had this new car, and now she's driving this old car. Like maybe she's not doing so well financially," which is hilarious because the reason I did it was so that I could be doing really well financially.
Yeah, isn't it funny how cars and houses and clothes and all that stuff, but especially cars, they're that status symbol of like how far you've made it in life, right? Where that's what we see. And me on the banking side of it, I may pull up an account and this guy in front of me is wearing, really nice clothes, and you see that he's got, I don't know, some brand new BMW, right? You're like, oh man, this guy just looks like he's got life figured out. And then you see how much the car payment is, how big the loan is, what interest rate he's paying, how much money is not in the savings account because of the car he drives. And it's like, those people in the dealership looked at you like you were crazy, but really we're all the people that do the opposite and get those crazy car loans. Those are the crazy ones, right? Because you're tying up so much of your happiness and your life and your time for this one thing that just gets you from point A to point B. And that's coming from someone that, I do love cars. I like cars. I would love to have a nice car, but it's just not worth it,
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's actually really funny that you said that because my boyfriend is a software engineer, makes very, very good money, and he actually drives a 3-year newer Focus than the one that I had when I was doing this. And it's a manual transmission, manual windows, and everything. He makes enough that he could more than pay for a very nice car if he wanted it, but it's just not a priority to him.
Yeah.
And being able to do other things is much more of a priority. So, it's just what you make of it, I guess.
Yeah, I got a friend that I think he drove a Lexus, he said. And I haven't known him all that long, so I'm trying to remember the story. But he had like a brand new, maybe not quite brand new Lexus, but a fairly new Lexus, nice car, obviously. And he just hated it, and all the maintenance on it was so expensive. And he like downgraded to a 1970s something Jeep. So maybe that's like a hipster move. I don't know, but now he can do all the work on the car himself. It's something that he enjoys driving. It's got a lot more utility. So it really is what you make of it. Now, the last thing that I want to ask you is, can you share some pieces of advice that you wish you had when you were younger, when it came to money or personal finance? And if not you directly, what you would want to share with other people when it comes to money and personal finance?
Yeah, so like I said, when I was a kid, my parents made it something that was really important to manage my money well, but I don't think that they really sat down and talked about a budget as much as just like not overdrafting my checking account. So my mom was very much making sure that I used my ledger and I was like balancing my checkbook to make sure everything checked out. But I think talking to high schoolers when they're getting their first job about having some kind of budget, and obviously they're not responsible for paying rent and things like that, but just being able to budget for your circumstances is really important, because I think if I had been talked to about that when I was younger, then maybe that would have been instilled in my brain and I wouldn't have been so irresponsible during college, and I might have actually had something to show for the fact that I was basically working full-time through college. because I had nothing when I graduated. It wasn't like I had debt or consumer debt, like credit card debt, but I just didn't really have anything to show for it either. So I think talking to people about their budgets and actually just making one that is logical for the stage in life that you're in. The next thing would just be, just because somebody else has something that's fancy doesn't mean, like we said, that they're any better off. And also just because they, quote unquote, can't afford it doesn't mean that you should try to afford it. So thinking about what you actually want and not what society is telling you that you should buy or not buy. I felt the pressure to buy this new car because my friends were getting new cars as they were graduating college, and I was like, oh, I should do that.
Yeah, it's like the natural thing to do.
Thought about it. I might not have made that mistake in the first place. Those would probably be the two big things. And then also just shopping around for things that you do actually need. Trying to find actual things that you might need for your house or whatever through places like the Buy Nothing group or on Craigslist buying them secondhand. Yeah, for sure. For budget reasons, for environmental reasons, there's plenty of reasons to not buy something brand new. And then for services or other things that you need, trying to shop around. I remember whenever I was first starting out, lowering my bills and figuring out how I could throw the most amount to my student loan, I started looking at my insurance, for example. I had never shopped around. I just signed up for the insurance company that my parents had been using since I was a little kid, and that was State Farm. And I called up a few different insurance companies and was able to save 40% with the exact same coverage.
Wow.
Just because I went to a different company.
Well, I don't work with insurance, but I do want to comment on that real quick, that at the credit union we had people that worked in insurance, and they always said, a lot of people have that feeling of, oh no, I've been with such and such company for so long, I don't want to go anywhere else. And it's kind of well, look, insurance companies are in the business of making money, right? And so they give new people discounts to come in, and then over time their premiums go up and all that fun stuff, to where if you've been there for a long time, if you're a family friend, you've been there for 10 years, that insurance agent or that insurance company looks at you or your account or your portfolio and is like, dude, they've been here for so long, I can raise their premium and they're not going anywhere. Whereas if you go somewhere else, they're like, oh my gosh, we want your business, please come over here. Yeah, we'll cut your premium by 30% or whatever it may be, in your case 40%. So just sorry to hijack the conversation, but yeah, totally take advantage of that. For anyone who's listening and needs to kind of go through insurance, a lot of people will give you a lower discount at the same exact coverage that you currently have.
Yeah, I like being loyal to companies that I feel really good about, but at the same time, when you're trying to pay off your debt, every penny really does count. And also just it doesn't feel good to be with a company for that long and then them basically take advantage of you because you've been with them a really long time. So I switched my insurance over, saved a lot of money that way. The other thing I switched was my cell phone company. At the time, I was working for a company where I got a discount on Verizon, so I had Verizon because I thought, oh, I'm getting 25% off. But I looked at some of the prepaid options, and I was able to get unlimited everything, basically, for $45 a month.
Wow.
Through a prepaid provider. And I just set it up on automatic renewal, so I didn't have to go into a store and reload my phone and things like that. So it was essentially the same coverage, but I paid about half as much. So those are just things, I know that that's becoming more of a popular thing of the lower cost cell phone providers, but when I first started this, it wasn't such a common thing, and so I would totally recommend looking up lower cost cell phone options, because that's something that most people have.
Yeah, and also what you were saying earlier, consider maybe going vegan or eat less meat, because environmental reasons, health reasons, expense reasons. I kind of went my whole pescatarian route just because it's look, I love, I'm in Texas. I've eaten barbecue every year of my entire life, and I'm gonna have barbecue next year. But when I go to the grocery store, if I can save money, well, that's good. But also, most of the stuff at the grocery store is factory farmed, horrible life for these animals and all that just sad stuff that we know all about. But I mean, our grocery bill for the two of us each week is maybe around $60 now. So cutting all that stuff out literally adds up.
It really does. Whenever you think about like the staples, I mean, there are definitely vegan alternatives that can get really pricey if you're buying like fake meats and things like that. But if you're just sticking to like the vegetables, the grains, nuts, seeds, those kinds of things, you can buy those really cheap. And I mean, just buy what's in season because that's going to be the cheapest option. Yeah. And then that way you're basically eating like the healthiest food for you at the lowest cost. So, I mean, I originally did it because of, like, I was experiencing pretty horrific health problems and just, like, feeling sick all the time. And my boyfriend at the time was vegan in the past, and he was like, hey, if you want to try it, I'll do it with you. And I was like, oh, sure, I'm just tired of feeling sick all the time. And then later down the road, I figured out that I actually am lactose intolerant after doing a proper, food allergy panel. And they were like, oh, yeah, you're lactose intolerant. I was like, no wonder I was feeling sick all the time.
That makes sense now.
So, I mean, but now I eat seasonally fresh food, and, like, I don't really miss the meat. It was never about the meat for me. I really liked the sauces that was on the meat. So.
Yeah, no, my buddy who is vegan says, you know, if you were just to take a bite out of unseasoned meat, you wouldn't like it all that much. But, once you put all the vegetable seasonings and spices, that's when you like it. So it's not the meat that you like, Michael, it's the spices. I'm like, that actually kind of makes sense. But that's kind of everything that I wanted to ask you. And again, I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day to do this. Again, it's totally new. So if I fumbled any words or sentences or interrupted or rambled, I apologize about that. But is there anything that you want to add as far as, maybe things that you want to promote for yourself, whether it's the Buy Nothing Project or your minimalism group? Is there anything that you want me to link or share so others can get in touch if that's something that you want to promote?
Yeah, sure. So I would recommend checking out minimalist.org, which is where you can find your local minimalist chapter if you're interested in finding people who are also interested in kind of living more intentionally. In our group, we kind of cover everything from minimalism to like more sustainability kind of things. A lot of our members here in Portland are really interested in like living with less waste, and a lot of them are vegan here in Portland. That's a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
So,
Austin and Portland probably have a lot of that.
What's that?
Austin and Portland have a lot of that in common.
Yeah, definitely. I still want to come check out Austin. I still have not been there, but I really want to come check it out. I'm hoping to in the next couple of months. But yeah, I mean, ours kind of covers a wide range, so I can't speak for other groups if other groups kind of cover that much stuff, but we have so many members that are part of all of those different lifestyles, so we try to encompass a lot of different things. Definitely recommend checking out the Buy Nothing group. So just buynothingproject.org, and you can find your local Buy Nothing project. And then, YouTube is like amazing for finding people who are interested in budgeting and like living with less and all of these different things. So there's an endless amount of inspiration there, and that's honestly like my best recommendation. My friend Nikki and I have actually started a business around this, kind of helping people declutter and just simplify their lives in all of these different ways. And it's just been awesome to like help people live more intentional lives and find their real passions and be able to pursue those, because all of this other stuff is just not in the way.
Absolutely, and I there's so much that I would love to talk to you about, and I'm selfishly hoping that you're like, yeah, I'll totally come back and have different conversations with you. But you've hit on so many points that I had zero intention of bringing up or talking about, and yeah, we can dive into so much about this. So hopefully, in other videos through different topics, whether it's decluttering or minimalism, or, I'm one of those weird tiny house people, even though I don't live in one. I'm like, guys, those people are onto something. So there's a whole lot that I would love to talk.
Are you into van dwelling at all?
Van dwelling? Yeah, actually. Yeah. We think of me and my girlfriend are thinking this summer we've got a really, really big trip. I haven't share on the channel. It's really not that big of a deal, but we're going to like Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, India, Japan, and New York, all across 6 weeks. And so that's going to be like, you know, she's a traveler. I'm not. I've always grown up in Texas, so this is a new thing for me. And then next summer, to spend less money but still enjoy it because she's a teacher, we're thinking about getting a van and trying that out in the summer. So could be a total like not gonna happen crazy dream, but yeah, it's totally on the radar. So we could talk about a lot of different things, and again, I hope you come back and have more conversations because I feel there's so much more we can talk about. But thank you so much for being a part of this. You know, definitely get in touch if you have any more questions. Definitely be an active member in my community. I will try to be an active member in yours, but thank you so much, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, Whitney.
Thank you.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks again for watching this video. I hope you learned something new from it and you were able to strengthen your financial position. I'm going to keep coming out with more videos, so please stay tuned, but go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and have a good day.